Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive, upcoming shift in how we buy, ship, and consume goods in Europe. You know, if you've ever ordered a tiny item online and got it in a ridiculously giant cardboard box, or looked at your recycling bin at the end of the week and thought, how on earth did we make this much plastic? Well, you're going to want to pay close attention. The European Union has just finalized a sweeping set of new rules that's going to fundamentally change the entire life cycle of packaging. Let's kick things off with a staggering fact that really sets the stage here. A massive 36% of all municipal solid waste in the EU is made up entirely of packaging. I mean, think about that for a second. More than a third of the everyday trash we toss out from our homes, our offices, and our cities, it exists simply because of the way our products are wrapped, boxed, and delivered. And the resource strain doesn't stop there. According to official EU statistics, 40% of all plastics and 50% of all paper used across the entire union goes straight into making packaging that we, more often than not, simply throw away after a single use. We're literally taking immense amounts of primary, virgin raw materials and turning them into something designed to be garbage almost immediately. It is a massive roadblock to ever achieving a circular economy. Which brings us to Section 2, the EU's circular solution. This staggering scale of waste requires a structural solution, right? Not just a gentle suggestion to recycle more. Enter Regulation 2025/40. Now, this isn't just a minor tweak to existing laws, it's a sweeping piece of legislation designed to completely overhaul the entire life cycle of packaging across all member states. It harmonizes the rules across the internal market, meaning companies will have a single, unified playbook to follow. But more importantly, it shifts the focus from just managing waste after the fact to preventing that waste from being created in the very first place. To actually enforce this, the EU is leaning hard into a concept called Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR. In plain English, it means the companies making the mess have to pay to clean it up. Producers are now held financially accountable for the collection, sorting, and recycling costs of their packaging throughout its entire life cycle. And here's the kicker. The fees these companies pay will be modulated. So they pay less if their packaging is highly recyclable and way more if it isn't. It's a direct, undeniable financial incentive to design better, greener packaging. And this responsibility ramps up over a really strict timeline. The regulation forces member states to progressively slash the packaging waste generated per capita. We're talking a mandatory 5% reduction by the year 2030, a 10% reduction by 2035, and building all the way up to a highly ambitious 15% reduction by 2040, all compared to 2018 levels. This guarantees that the sheer volume of waste will shrink in absolute terms, decade over decade. Moving on to Section 3, banning harmful chemicals. Because it's not just about the volume of the waste, is it? It's also about what's actually inside the materials touching our food. The absolute crucial point here is public health. So, the law takes direct aim at PFAS, which you probably know as forever chemicals. These are synthetic chemicals heavily used in food contact materials because they resist grease and water so well. Think of your fast food wrappers or those microwave popcorn bags. The big problem? They're incredibly persistent in the environment and present totally unacceptable risks to human health, including links to severe diseases. So this regulation explicitly restricts them in food contact packaging. It's prioritizing human safety right up there alongside environmental health. Next up, Section 4, rethinking the box. Now let's talk about something every single one of us has experienced while online shopping. Getting a tiny, unbreakable item shipped in an absolutely massive cardboard box stuffed with plastic bubbles. Well, starting in 2030, that wild west of e-commerce packaging is over. Economic operators must cap the empty space in e-commerce, transport, and grouped packaging at a strict maximum of 50%. Literally half the box at most can be empty space. This shift is going to be drastic. Old e-commerce was full of excessive air, oversized boxes, and deceptive designs, like double walls or false bottoms that try to trick you into thinking a product is bigger than it actually is. But the new e-commerce, under this regulation, mandates right-sized boxes, minimized weight, and strictly functional design. It legally bans the practice of shipping air. The law states crystal clearly that packaging must be scaled down to the absolute minimum volume and weight necessary to protect the product. That's it. Which brings us to Section 5, the end of single-use. For the average consumer, this is where you're going to see the most obvious day-to-day changes. By 2030, the hospitality and retail sectors are getting a massive makeover. At hotels, say goodbye to those tiny, single-use miniature shampoos and lotions. In grocery stores, those thin, shrink-wrapped plastic films holding multi-packs of cans together, gone. Very lightweight plastic bags are banned entirely except for strict hygiene reasons. And at restaurants and cafes, individual plastic ketchup sachets, little coffee creamers, and sugar packets, they will be a thing of the past.
And getting your morning coffee or takeout is changing on an even faster timeline. Step 1. By 2027, all cafes and restaurants offering takeaway must let you bring your own cup or container, completely at no extra cost. Step 2. By 2028, these same businesses have to actively offer you their own reusable packaging options. Make no mistake, the era of the default disposable coffee cup is coming to a close.
The legislation itself is incredibly direct about its priorities here. It states that packaging should be designed to minimize its volume and weight, and that while marketing and consumer acceptance remain relevant, they should not justify additional packaging. Ultimately, this law sends a loud, undeniable message to brands across the globe. Marketing aesthetics, looking flashy on a shelf, or making a product look premium by stuffing it in a giant, heavy box, none of that justifies creating unnecessary waste anymore. Functionality and sustainability now legally trump marketing.
So when does all this actually happen? Well, while the overarching law was adopted and entered into force in early 2025, these consumer-facing rules, the industry mandates, and the massive shift in manufacturing will officially begin to apply starting on August 12, 2026. That gives the industry a brief window to adapt, innovate, and totally change their supply chains before some really heavy fines and restrictions kick in.
You see, this regulation isn't just a set of distant bureaucratic rules.